Week 1 is officially in the books, and we get a fun deja vu matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Philadelphia Eagles. Ryan, they played 1 year ago, almost today, essentially like that, and it was not a good matchup for the Vikings, and I have a feeling it's going to be something similar as well, especially too after watching both teams play in Week 1. Philadelphia won last year 24-7 and really just terrorized Kirk Cousins the entire time. And I'm curious, too, just kind of going into this game, what are some ways that you think both of these teams can come away with the victory this year? And let's start with the Vikings. I want to start with the Vikings.
The Vikings, they need to find more success in – well, okay, actually, I'm going to say this. I think that offensive line needs to improve. They need to run the ball better, and they also need to keep this pocket clean for Kirk Cousins because that was one thing I think they struggled with last year. They were able to get drives going with shorter plays, but when they tried to take bigger shot plays and make things happen, this offensive line couldn't really hold up. And we kind of saw a little bit of that in the Tampa Bay game. And maybe Tampa Bay is just a little bit better than we think, but I think it's more likely that just maybe Minnesota is coming back down to earth after last season. And this offensive line just wasn't really able to quite block well enough against Tampa Bay last week. So it's going to be interesting to watch this game, but I think if Minnesota is going to win, this offensive line has to play well. They have to be able to take these bigger shot plays and take advantage of, I would say, an aging secondary, because the secondary didn't look too great against New England's receivers in Week 1, and it's going to be interesting to see what they look like against Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and Cass. So.
Well, there's one, too, is towards the end as well. I saw James Bradbury get a little shaken up. He said he was fine. It was wanting to go back and play, but the ref made him come off. And then the game ended shortly after that, so I don't know if he came back on. Anyways, I say that because that'll be just a story to watch for the next couple of days. Is going to be his overall. If he did get a concussion, because if he got a concussion, there's no way he can play a Thursday night football game. He just be out.
He'll be in protocol till at least Friday, I believe.
At least Friday. So, but even then, he didn't seem too shaken up. But also, I know that there's this 24 hours effect. But I agree with you there. I think that they're just going to have to. They're just going to have to just light it up offensively. And one of the things is they're going to have to protect Kirk Cousins. And I'm going to break down a little bit why I think that's going to be difficult later on. But they're going to have to protect Kirk Cousins because they can't really run the ball too much. Only had 41 rushing yards against this Tampa Bay defense, which, in my opinion, defense front isn't too great. And I think that also isn't too great, but has good players that I think can still help contribute, especially in the run defense, which I think to me indicates like the Vikings offensive line just was struggling. But to the Eagles side, though, I think the Eagles, they just need to be the NFC champs that we all know that we know they were last year. They were able to grind out a game against New England. Jalen Hurts didn't entirely have his overall best game, but it was Week 1. He did connect with Devontae Smith for a touchdown.
He also is playing a much better defense in New England than what they have in Minnesota.
He's playing a much better team, if being completely honest. New England, like Mac Jones still threw for over 300 yards. He was able to exploit, but he got protection. And so that's going to be the thing kind of going on. One of my concerns, I think, for Minnesota is they had 3 key players to watch on the overall injury. Marcus Davenport, the defensive end, did not even play. He was a free agent signing. Did not even play this past week. Had to see how his ankle is doing. He hurt it this past Thursday in practice. But during the game, there are 2 key injuries here, and now my computer wants to slow down a little bit. Christian Darrisaw and Garrett Bradbury. Darrisaw was able to come back in, but he missed that second quarter, but had a heavily taped up ankle in the second half. We'll have to see how he does. But Garrett Bradbury hurt his back and was not able to return. And a back injury, especially for as big as those guys are, that's going to be huge. And especially, too, if your interior offensive line is weak going up against this Philadelphia Eagles defense, you can make an argument that the best part of this Eagles defense is their defensive interior with Fletcher Cox leading the way. Now Jordan Davis and Jalen.
Fletcher Cox did get injured and did not return against the Patriots.
So that was another one I noticed. I was about to bring that up. That was on the final drive as well. So I wonder if it's something similar to Bradbury, where if it's like, okay, let's let the young kids go at it here. But I saw him, I think after they were going to win the game, he was on the sideline. I'm pretty sure it was him. Like
he was on the sideline. They showed him on the sideline as New England
cheering.
as New England got their last first down. It was right after that. They showed him on the sideline biting his mouthpiece. I'm looking now if there's an update on him.
Yeah, I take a look at that because transitioning back to the Vikings, if they already have a weak offensive line and if their starters are out or are injured or hampered, and then also even on the defensive side of the ball as well with Marcus Davenport, the trenches are the weakest part of this Vikings team, and Kirk Cousins needs to have an offensive line in front of him. Otherwise, I think this year might even be worse than 24-7. The first home game of the season in Philly, they're going to be raising the banner of the NFC Championship. I think it's just going to be electric, and I don't think, no matter how great Justin Jefferson is, and he had a heck of a game against Tampa Bay, 150-something yards, 150 yards. Jordan Addison got his first touchdown catch as well. I just don't think – I think that they are going to be so one-dimensional because they're going to get behind and they're only going to be able to throw the ball. It's going to be a lot of third and longs. I think it's going to be something similar. I think it's going to be like a 27-7 Philly victory, maybe even worse than that.
Yeah, I think Philly – I don't think they quite had the performance that they wanted in New England in week 1, and they still got the win. But I think there's a little bit of ego on the line there, and I think they're going to come out and they're going to run all over this Minnesota defense. I think they might have double-digit sacks against the Vikings, especially if Garrett Bradbury does not play. They were only able to get two sacks against New England. And New England does have a good offensive line, so that's one thing to kind of be to hold up against that. But they still had 7 quarterback hits, which is a good bit. So all in all, I just think Philadelphia, they're just the more dominant team. They're going to be better, and they're going to impose their will for 4 quarters.
And we haven't even broken down the Phillies receivers going up against this Viking secondary, and so that's just not. I mean, we don't even really have to break that down too much. And so it's just not going to be a good matchup overall for the Vikings. I think we're just going to keep seeing throughout this season. And now they have to play the game, and we're recording this
Sunday night.
Yeah, and so after Sunday night game. So definitely some injuries to watch. But even if all those guys that I mentioned and the best players for the Vikings inside the trenches play, I still don't see a way that the Vikings go out and beat the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to have to play.
They have to play abysmally bad.
Yeah, they play abysmally bad and get some injuries, get some horrible plays to not go their way. But I think the Vikings have a chance.
Yeah. And so if you haven't guessed it already, I guess we're both picking the Eagles. Yeah. What is your score prediction here?
I'll go. I think it's going to be I'll go 20. I said 27-7. I'll do that again. I think it'll be 27-7.
I was going to do 34-13. I think the Vikings, they might have a little success moving the football, maybe especially too as the game gets later on and the Eagles maybe quit. But did I say 34-14 or 31-14?
34-13 is what you said.
34-13. Okay. Yeah. So, I'm going to stick with 34-13. I just think the Eagles, they're the much better team. They're much more physical, and the Vikings are going to struggle. So, let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to win Week 2's Thursday Night Football game. Is it going to be the Philadelphia Eagles? Is it going to be the Minnesota Vikings? Let us know down below. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.